Hello, everyone. Excuse me. Um, there's a couple of things I want to do with this video. The first thing is I'll show you one little addition to my vinyl collection, and then knock out a couple of threads that Vinylizer has put out the last few days that I can give my answers to that thread as best as I can. But first, with the addition, went to my local secondhand record store and found Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time. Cover's not in the best condition. The inner has a rip at the bottom of it. But the vinyl seems fine. So I'm happy with that. I have sleeves downstairs. I can put the vinyl in to replace the inner. So I always remembered thinking what a cool cover this was when it first came out. I always wanted a shirt with that cover on it. Never did get that yet. At some point, maybe I will at some point. I don't know if they ever re-release shirts with this Eddie on it, but so my latest pickup there. Now on to the threads started by John. One thread was the one that I saw yesterday, was name 5, he called it the first 5 songs of your life. And that can be difficult for me to narrow down. But I think he meant, the first 5 songs in your life that you remember having an impact on you. So I'll take that approach with it, because even before I started buying albums and everything and becoming a music nut like I am now, I was exposed to a lot of music when I was a kid, from the stuff I heard people listening to on the radio, to church songs, name it. And so, between all of that, I can't, had to think long and hard about it. But 5 of the first songs I remember that really resonated with me and got me thinking. I'll start off with one, and unfortunately I have some things that have these songs on the show, but with company in the house and everything, things are kind of upside down right now. We've been having a 6-year-old in the house that has, turned things upside down. I haven't had the energy or the time to go down to fish any of this stuff out of my collection, but I'll just name 5 songs real quick. That the first song I thought of, my uncle Doug did a video on not too long ago, and unfortunately I don't have this in my collection. I'd love to get my hands on the album, even if it's a digital form. But anyway, the song Matthew 7 by Masters Lantern. Now, Masters Lantern, doing some research, I found that they were out of the state I'm living in now, Wisconsin. And my uncle bought the Masters Lantern cassette, and I think it's the only thing they ever really put out. I don't think it wasn't on any major record label or anything like that. He had seen them at his church where he was living at the time in Iowa, and he bought this cassette, and he played that song Matthew 7. And Master's Lantern is kind of a there's almost kind of like a folk rock vibe to their sound. Maybe in some ways country rock. But I remember that particular song, Matthew 7, and I really remember liking that song. I'd play that song over and over and over. And I especially like the guitar solo at the end of that song. But that song got me like, after playing that song, like, I want to hear what's on the rest of this album. And I enjoyed what I heard on the rest of the album, but not as much as that particular song. And that's when I decided to start buying albums. The next song I'm going to talk about is a song I had before that. And I've mentioned this before. The 45, 7-inch, whatever you want to call it, of Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. That song, as I said before in another video, gave me the inspiration to get up every morning and go to school when I didn't feel like it. Gave me the inspiration to get up, to go to school, face the bullies, face, at the time I thought, the unfair treatment from the teacher. All of that. That song just inspired me to be like, don't let that. So that's another song I remember impacting me. And without trying to be too preachy, I'll get into another song when it comes to rock music. The first rock album, as I said many times I've mentioned, is Petra's 1983 album, Out of This World. I keep confusing that with the Europe album. Not of This World. Out of This World is the Europe album. Anyway, on Petra's Not of This World album, there's a song on there called Grave Robber. And it talks about how the believer in Christ, their body might be in the grave, but their soul's in heaven with Jesus. Not too long after I had the album, and I heard the song a couple times, I experienced the first death of a family member in my lifetime, and that was of my grandfather. And I remember that song at that time easing the pain of him dying, because it told me my grandfather was in heaven with Jesus. Again, not trying to preach, but that's how that song impacted my life. Going away from rock music for a couple, I remember some country songs listening to on the radio. Ronnie Millsap's I Wouldn't Have Missed It for the World, and Stranger in My House, and Alabama songs, Love in the First Degree, Take Me Down. Not necessarily knowing at the time what the lyrics were trying to convey, and I'm not saying anything, I'm not trying to say that the lyrical context of those songs was necessarily bad, but at the age I was, I didn't necessarily understand. But I remember liking those songs, So those are, I think, 5 songs that I remember early in my life impacting me. Now, his other thread was music from the 80s that isn't necessarily in your normal, that isn't necessarily in the genre of music that you normally gravitate towards. And a lot of people in this community are all, listen to many different genres of music. And I myself have not talked about many different genres of music on my channel. But I had, in the 80s, I had a lot of music that that wasn't necessarily rock, that I remember fondly. Again, that I don't have any albums, but usually when I'm in the mood for that type of music, I find particular songs I remember well and YouTube them or whatever. But I'll just throw out a few of the songs. I remember one I remember, and I still listen to quite a bit to this day. I remember really liking Madonna's "Live to Tell" song. My mind's blanking on who did the song "Crazy for You." I think Belinda Carlisle did the song "Mad About You." A lot of the 80s pop, Madonna, Pet Shop Boys, Tears for Fears, Men at Work, considering the climate we're in right now, I don't know if I dare bring them up, but Michael Jackson. I was in 5th grade and Thriller was brand new, but the stigma attached to Michael Jackson now notwithstanding. But I guess in a nutshell, folks, my life has been shaped by more than just the Stripers, the Scorpions, the Skillets, on down the line. My musical taste is a little more varied, and maybe in the future I'll have actual vinyl or CD to show that is more diverse than what I've shown on this channel before. So what it's worth, I hope you enjoyed my answers to your questions there, John. You and the rest of my friends in the music vinyl world, you have a great night. And until I talk to you again, enjoy the music. Rob, Black Star Vinyl. Within the next couple of days, I will be shooting a video for your drawing. I definitely want to participate in that. Good night, everybody. Enjoy the music. I'll get off here and start babbling.